Aha! I assume you can now hear me live and clear, loud and clear, right? I'm now assuming you can hear and that everything is A-OK. Can we just do a very, very quick mic check? Can you press a van if you can hear me loudly and clearly before we get into... I wouldn't say British boxing's finished, but I would say that British boxing is an absolute fucking disgrace. I would say that. There we go. I can hear myself. I tell you why. I tell you the reason why my mic was muted. You'll laugh, but I'll tell you after we do some very, very short introductions. While I just tweet everybody and let everybody know that this show is now back on the road.
Because I'm coming for them belts, boy. You're going to see the raft of the new champ. Different energy, different spirit. Coming to win. I tried to learn boxing, stick and move. Isolating the sweet science of the sport, doctrinating my style. But we're going back to the raw, rugged streets. That's where I belong. I never followed no athletes growing up, no movie stars. I followed the hustlers, the Rayful Edmonds, the Jeff Ports, the Nicky Barnes, the Big Meaches, the Larry Hoovers. You understand me? They're the people that gave me the inspiration, the ones that came up from the streets to the top of the world, the empires, the bangers, the hustlers.
Right, if I was on the phone to the Chinese, local Chinese, it'd be egg fried rice, special fried rice, large, plain chow mein, shredded chicken chow mein, large, salt and chili king prawn, salt and chili chicken, kung po prawn, sweet and sour chicken balls, sweet and sour pork balls, shredded chili beef, beef in black bean sauce, mini pancake rolls, large pancake roll, curry sauce, 2 portions of prawn crackers. Bosh.
All right. Sorry about all that. Do you know what it was? The mic was plugged in the whole time. The mic was absolutely plugged in the whole time. Do you know what it was? Because I haven't been streaming a lot recently, because British boxing's an absolute fucking disgrace, and I can't be asked to make YouTube shows anymore, basically. I can't be asked to make YouTube shows anymore. So I've basically forgotten how to use StreamYard, and I actually forgot to press the button that actually brings me into the room to chat. So that's why the mic was plugged in the whole time. I was sitting there like a dickhead, plugging the mic into like fucking 55 different USB ports, and it was working fine. I've just completely forgotten how to use StreamYard. Okay, good morning or good afternoon, and welcome to the latest in the ongoing fucking clown show that is British boxing. In fact, you know what? Excuse me, we haven't even played the British boxing theme tune. Let me know if you can hear the British boxing theme tune, and let me know if you can hear this. You can hear my voice loudly and clearly. One sec. There we go. Can you hear me loudly and clearly? I don't want the background music to drown me out, but can you hear me loudly and clearly over this background theme tune? Because I think now more than ever, yeah, it's important that we play music like this in the background, yeah, when discussing the absolute fucking disgrace that is the sport of British boxing. All right, and people wonder why I can't be bothered to make YouTube videos anymore. It's because of shit like this. Should I tell you why? The reason why I can't be asked. Just cover the news first. Eddie Hearn has confirmed on IFL TV that Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn has been agreed, and that at the minute it's looking like the fight will take place in September of this year. They don't know if the fight can take place in the UK or not in the UK, because Conor Benn is still under investigation by UKAD, as they're trying to ascertain the reason why he tested positive, I believe, twice in the space of 3 or 4 months for the same substance, which I believe is called clomiphene. Now would be a very, very good time for me to do the disclaimer, wouldn't it? Before I start going in and telling you how I really feel about this situation. Because let's be honest, you can slag me off until the cows come home, right? And we'll get into that in a second. You can slag me off until the cows come home. We're going to hear all kinds of personal attacks on me. That's what we do in it. Shoot me in it. Don't get involved with the people who are failing dope tests, yeah, and putting people's lives at risk. Don't have a go at the fucking promoters who are promoting for guys who have failed multiple tests and are currently under suspension, yeah, by the UK anti-doping agency. Don't have a go at them, right? Have a go at me. I'm the problem, isn't it? The problem's me. So we'll talk about that in a second. But now would be a very, very good time, yeah, to do the disclaimer. Here's the disclaimer. This is my opinion. I'm not accusing Conor Benn of intentionally taking drugs. I am simply reporting the facts of the case and giving my opinions on the case. It's down for the authorities, yeah, involved to decide whether Conor Benn intentionally took any substances, etc., etc. Does that cover me, or do I have to put the bit in? Do I have to put any other shit in here about this being purely for entertainment purposes or whatnot? I think you guys get the picture by now. Look, before we get going, let me just say this. Look, there is a reason why, yeah, we've got 65 viewers inside 5 minutes and 40 seconds. If you'd like to hit the like button, I'd be very, very grateful. If you'd like to be part of the chat and feel free to subscribe, please feel free to do so. As it stands at the minute, I'll let you know for those who are new to this channel. Okay, the reason why we've got 65 subscribers in under 65 viewers in under 6 minutes, yeah. If these media outlets like IFL TVs, if these media outlets, right, like Boxing Social, post Rob Tibet, actually did their fucking job, right? Actually did their fucking job, I would probably right now, 6 minutes in, have one live viewer watching this channel. But thank you. Big thank you to Boxing Social. Big thank you to the likes of Charlie Parsons. Big thank you to the likes of Akugan Cassius. Big thanks to the likes of all those journalists out there who are doing an absolutely horrific job of covering the sport, because it means that channels like mine, as it stands, are able, yeah, to get a view or two. Do you know what I mean? Because what do people actually want to hear is people telling it what it is. What people don't want to hear is people rocking up to interviews like this interview here and asking Eddie Hearn how his 5K was and asking him if it's one of the hardest 5Ks he's ever done. It is what it is about Eddie Hearn. Oh, by the way, just to let you know, I'm still waiting for Eddie Hearn to get in the boxing ring, because he's always talking about fighting, isn't he? What's he doing 5Ks for? Listen, them 5Ks ain't going to help you when you get in the ring, bro. You can run as many 5Ks. I can run a 3K in a semi-decent time, right? I can get off my arse and run a 3K in about 16, 17, 18 minutes right now, okay? Not great, not as quick as Eddie Hearn, but I'll tell you what, I can barely do a 3-minute round in a boxing gym in a minute. Mate, you can run as many 3Ks and 5Ks as you want, mate. It don't mean anything when you get in that ring. So when are you getting in that ring? Calling out Simon Jordan for fights? Yeah? So when are you going to get in the ring with somebody your own size who can actually fight you back? Let me know. I don't want to see any more of these 3Ks. I want to see him in a boxing gym. I want to see him boxing somebody who can actually fight him back. Not no Frank Smith or not no Simon Jordan. Now let's get to the show. This Eubank versus Benn fight is signed for September. Where do we start with this? Right, let's start with Eddie Hearn contradiction number 1, which I've played this a million times, but we will have new people here today. You let me know if you think Eddie Hearn was lying, or in fact, tell you what, I'm going to play this video, which you've seen a million times. You tell me, type lie in the chat if you think Eddie Hearn told a lie, and press truth in the chat if you think Eddie Hearn told the truth.
On the night. Secondly, I could have done this fight in many different places around the world. You can't do it. You know, you've seen the feedback, you've seen the response. He has to clear his name, or he has to have his case heard. So what we are not going to do, and what we won't accept anyway, is just to go and get another license and put this fight on in December. No. Let's have the process, go through the legal process of Conor Benn, and then we see what the result is.
Right. So here's my first question. Is Eddie Hearn acting as Conor Benn's promoter? Yes or no? Press 1 if you think Eddie Hearn is acting as Conor Benn's promoter. Let me know. Let me know what you feel about that. Press 1 if you think Eddie Hearn is actively acting as Conor Benn's promoter at the minute. It seems to me like he's picking up the phone and organizing fights for Conor Benn. To me, I would define that as Eddie Hearn actively engaging as a promoter of Conor Benn. It seems like he has an idea where the location of the fight's going to be, and he seems to know the month that the fight's going to take place. Now, there hasn't been a contract signed, but it seems to me like he's done his due diligence and that he said this fight is very, very close to happening. So here's my question. Question number 2, right? Has Conor Benn been through the process? The process that Eddie Hearn just described to you in his own words right here. Yeah, I'm just going to use his own words again. All I'm doing is using Eddie Hearn's words.
On the night. Secondly, I could have done this fight in many different places around the world. You can't do it. You know, you've seen the feedback, you've seen the response. He has to clear his name, or he has to have his case heard. So what we are not going to do, and what we won't accept anyway, is just to go and get another license and put this fight on in December. No, let's have the process, go through the legal process of Conor Benn, and then we see what the result is.
Okay, has the process finished? Does anybody know? Can somebody tell me? Has this process finished, or is the fighter still under suspension by UKAD? If the fighter is still under investigation by UKAD for suspected doping, why is his promoter actively looking to make fights involving a fighter who is under suspension, cannot box, under the British Boxing Board of Control, in the UK, anywhere, because he's under investigation for suspected doping offences? That, to me, seems to be Eddie Hearn, clearly and utterly there, caught in a lie. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, because he said Conor Benn has to go through the process. Does anybody here think Conor Benn's cleared his name? Just out of interest, is anybody here in this chat who thinks Conor Benn has cleared his name? At all. I've never seen Conor Benn clear his name. As far as I'm aware, he's still under investigation. So the question that should have been asked to Eddie Hearn, of course, IFL TV are absolutely useless, and Boxing Social ain't much better these days, is why are you continuing to act as Conor Benn's promoter, even though the man is still under suspension and still under investigation for allegedly failing multiple drugs tests for the same substance in the same period of time? Shout out to all those idiots who I keep encountering on social media. You know, Twitter is a funny place. Let me tell you something. The best thing about this app, Twitter, right? Should I tell you the best thing about this app, Twitter? The fucking best thing about this app, Twitter, was this app drilled it into my head that voting is absolutely and utterly pointless. Do you know that? Do you know that? Absolutely and utterly pointless voting. Like, I would advise anybody listening to this show, don't even do like me. Take yourself off the electoral register. Don't even bother voting. Because with the amount of fucking morons that are out there spewing garbage, you have got absolutely no... Do you know, to this day, I still encounter people who think this is a conspiracy against Conor Benn. Do you know that? I've got people who will look me in the face and tell me that this is a conspiracy, that the tests were played with. The tests were manipulated. The tests were played with. The tests were false. There's a conspiracy. Do you think I'm joking? Do you know how many idiots have come to me and said some just the most asinine shit I've ever heard? I've heard it all. Well, listen, yeah. Why would he take clomiphene? Because it stays in your system for months. So how? Or the other one is, well, how did he pass his UCAT test? Well, if he really had clomiphene in his system, how did he pass his UCAT test but fail his VADA test? Well, okay. Do you know the date of the UCAT test he took? Well, no. Okay, so what the fuck are you talking? Don't bother voting. It's a complete and utter waste of time. It's literally like, you might as well take that piece of paper, yeah, with Keir Starmer on the ballot, right? And you might as well wipe your ass with it and flush it down the loo, all right? Because people get the governments they deserve, right? And anyway, and this app is great for showing you, right? It's a great marker. Just when you think, nah, these people can't get even any more stupid. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds of the same athlete being tested twice in 3 or 4 months, having at least 4 samples tested? We believe they actually split those samples up into subsamples and test those. But let's just play along with the stupidity for a minute. What odds would you give me that the same athlete had 4 samples tested and they found the same substance in there on at least 4 separate occasions? And there's some kind of laboratory mistake. So they must have made the same mistake 4 times with 4 different samples for the same fucking athlete finding the same fucking substance. Can somebody tell me the odds of that? I believe we had George C already tell us the odds of that. George C, who's very, very good with maths and science, reckons it's less than 0.01%. Yet a bunch of weed smoking mama's basement clowns on Twitter will look me in the face and tell me that there's a conspiracy going on against Conor Benn by VADA and that they're deliberately screwing with his tests and that something's going on and it's a conspiracy. That's how fucking stupid it is. Anyway, Eddie Hearn, as I said before, actively promoting Conor Benn while he's under investigation for doping. All I want to say is this: fighter safety in the United Kingdom, forget about it. All right? I never want to hear any promoter talk about fighter safety ever again. Do you know what? Press one if you agree with this. Right? Press one if you agree with this. Hey Nico, I beg you move on, Nico. Cheers, bro. I beg you move on. The only Nico I like is Nico from More Fire from More Fire Crew. So unless you're Nico from More Fire Crew, unless this is Nico, yeah, for More Fire Crew, and you got Aussie B, yeah, sitting there next to you. Who's that O to the Z? Oi, who's that O to the Z? Oi, who's that O to the Z? Another bad man inside the party now. Who's that O to the Z now? Unless you're sitting next to Aussie B, yeah, I beg you move on in it. I beg you move on in it and let us crack on in it. Is that all right? unless this is Nico, innit? Yeah. If this is Nico, then yeah, I'll mod you up, innit? If it is Nico, I'll mod you up, innit? Yeah. But otherwise, I beg you move on, innit? Now, listen to this. Listen to how fucking stupid the average boxing fan is. This is Ladumo Lamati, right? This man was nearly killed in a boxing ring on a Frank Warren show 2 weeks ago by Nick Ball, right? How many fucking idiots did you see? And I didn't say nothing about it, so I knew this day would come. I was just sitting and observing. How many idiots do you see saying shit like, "Oh, Lamati, I'm praying for..." Get the hashtags in there, guys. "I'm praying for Lamati. Oh, my boxing's a dangerous sport. Pray for Lamati. Wow, boxing's so dangerous. Oh, I hope he comes out, Lamati. I hope he comes out of his coma. Wow, boxing's well dangerous. Wow, I'm gonna go on social media and virtue signal about how dangerous the sport is, even though I've never put gloves on in my life. Boxing is so dangerous. Oh, Lamati, but the same people that a couple of weeks ago were praying for Lamati to come out of a coma want to put Chris Eubank Jr., who just got knocked out to bumper clot in his last fight by Liam Smith, yeah? In his worst ever career performance. They want to put a faded and finished Chris Eubank Jr. in the ring with a man who's currently under investigation for failing multiple drugs tests because they found clomiphene in his system. And you can't see the fucking dangerousness in that. Do you think that's fighter safety? Do you think what? And if anything happens to Eubank, these same twats that wanted the fight to happen will be doing this. "No, pray for Eubank. Oh my God, this sport's dangerous, man. Pray for Eubank." Does Twitter have a dove emoji? It does. Look, there you go. Look, there you go. You can see it in the chat right now. There you go. I've even got the dove emoji there. Look. "Oh my God, pray for Eubank. This sport is so dangerous." The sport is so dangerous, but you support dangerous fights, you morons. You absolute utter morons. You support dangerous fights. You're going to go and buy a fight with a weight-drained, washed-up Chris Eubank Jr., who just got iced in about 4 rounds by Liam Smith. You want to see him share the ring with somebody who's tested positive twice for clomiphene and is in the middle of a UCAD investigation. Do you support safety in boxing or do you not? Press 1 if you think my point is fair on that. Do you support safety of fighters in boxing or not? Because you can't be blowing smoke up Lamati's asshole for the best part of a week, retweeting his GoFundMe and sending out your little prayer emojis on Twitter. You can't be blowing smoke up Lamarty's backside for a week saying, pray for Lamarty, hope he gets better. Then you're trying to put weight-drained, washed-up, knocked-out fighters in the ring with individuals who have failed 2 drugs tests in a space of 4 months. How fucking stupid can you be? And the promoters know you're stupid. That's what you have to understand, because the promoters know that ultimately the fans don't care. It's all talk. Otherwise, they wouldn't put the fight on. The promoters are putting the fight on because they know they're going to make money. The promoters are putting the fight on because they know that the same people who are saying prayer for Lamarty are going to go to the zone and spend fucking $29.99 or $49.99 or whatever it is to go and pay and watch this fight. So can you blame them? Can you blame them? Oh, I forgot to say, by the way, no, I won't be watching the fight live. Are you happy now, by the way? Just because, you know, people are going to attack me, even though I haven't failed a drugs test, right? You know, people are going to attack me. I'm not the one going into the ring, right? Punching people in the head with clomiphene in my system, right? I'm not the one going into the ring punching people in the head with clomiphene in my system. But people are going to try and make this about me, all right? What did I tell you about the stupidity of the average man and why you should take yourself off the electoral register ASAP? What did I tell you? They will make it about me. It will be, well, Ultra, you're a hypocrite because you're going to watch the fight live. Well, no, I'm not. So I've taken that one away from you. You happy now? I won't watch it live. And I won't cover it live on this channel, obviously, because I'm not watching it live. Doesn't mean I can't cover the post-fight, though, with Tony or Shevin. But that's another story, isn't it? Seeking them loopholes, innit? Seeking them loopholes just like you know who. What do you guys think about my point about that? The hypocrisy of boxing fans. Either you support safety of fighters in boxing or you don't. If you support fighter safety in boxing, then you wouldn't watch Eubank versus Benn. If you don't give a shit about fighter safety in boxing, which is fine by me, as absolutely fine, and you just want to see blood and guts, then by all means, go and pay for the fight on pay-per-view. But you can't be both. Pick a side, pick one or the other. That's all I'm saying. Pick one or the other. When you go and buy this fight on DAZN pay-per-view, all right, never, ever tweet, I'm praying for another fighter who's sitting in hospital with a brain bleed again. Never, ever tweet that. Never, ever tweet, yeah, or retweet a fighter's GoFundMe ever again when they're sitting on a fucking ventilator surrounded by their family and nobody knows if they're going to wake up or not. Never, ever retweet a fighter's go because you support that stuff. You support it. You support it. And the promoters know you support it. That's why they put the fights on. Because they know that you're full of crap. Let me just quickly say, big shout out to the British boxing media, by the way. Do you mind if I say that? Big shout out to the British boxing media in there. I want to say another big shout out to the likes of IFL TV, Boxing Social, and the rubbish boxing media. I also want to say a big shout out to Simon Jordan, who was right about all of this from the start. Press 1 if you'd agree with me on that, or press 2 if you disagree with me. That Simon Jordan was right about Eddie Hearn, Conor Benn, and Chris Eubank from the start. He was right, wasn't he? He was right, wasn't he? Simon Jordan was right about this muppet all along, wasn't he? Waiting for the process. We're going to wait for the process to be finished. We respect the British Boxing Board of Control. We're going to wait for the process to be finished. The man's under suspension by UCAD, and he's taking phone calls. He's taking phone calls and making fights happen involving a fighter. Nobody's asked this question. Nobody's asked this question, right? And I'm not accusing Conor Benn of intentionally taking anything. But have you noticed that nobody's answered this question? How do we know that it's safe for an opponent to get in the ring with Conor Benn? Press 7 if you agree with me on that and press 8 if you disagree. Let's just stay with me on this. How do we know it's safe for a boxer to get in the ring with Conor Benn? How do we know it's safe? UCAD's investigation, as far as I'm aware, has not finished, right? UCAD, British Boxing Board of Control investigation has not finished. I've never heard anybody from UCAD say there's no way Conor Benn took anything intentionally. He had low levels in his system, etc., etc. We haven't. The investigation is still ongoing. So if the investigation is still ongoing and we aren't privy to all of the information, right? And we are not privy to all of the information, how the fuck do we know that he's safe to box against? Pimp My Sniper says he passed UCAT. What date did he pass his UCAT test, Pimp My Sniper? Tell me. What was the date? What were the dates of the UCAT tests he passed? Please tell me, and I'll post them up in the chat because I'm very interested. And please post the source of the date of the UCAT test that he passed, so we can check those in relation, to when he failed VADA tests. Because it's very, very simple, Pimp My Sniper, right? Your insinuation is that the VADA tests are somehow incorrect and that he didn't have clomiphene in his system. So let me know, innit? Let me know what it is. Which tests are correct? When did he pass his UCAT test? Give me the dates of when he passed his UCAT tests. The dates of when he passed his UCAT tests. So I can compare them to when he passed his VADA tests and tell me which test is wrong. Which test is wrong? Is it a UCAT test or the VADA test? Please let me know on that. All right. Eubank seek to doctor's advice and said it's fine. This is a prime example of what you're seeing here. Again, I'm gonna not try not to be disrespectful, right? So let me go about it another way. I want you to read this comment on the screen. Eubank seeked a doctor's advice and said it was fine. First of all, what doctor was that? What, Dr. Nick from the fucking Simpsons? Let's just get just before I even go into it. What fucking doctor was that? Secondly, let me just get to the point on this. Right? Apparently this is who gave Eubank the all clear to get punched in the head. What kind of doctor does that, by the way? Does that not sound fishy to you? What kind of doctor do you go to? Just before I haven't even started on the stupidity of this comment. But before I get onto the stupidity of this comment, can I ask you, what kind of doctor says, yeah, Chris, it's fine. You can go jump in the ring and get punched in the head by somebody who's tested positive for clomiphene? What GP and what doctor does that? I'd like to know. Who did that? Because I want to make them. Someone said Dr. Shipman. It must have been this guy, innit? It must have been, innit? Eddie Hearn must have got a Ouija board and spoke to Dr. Howard Shipman, innit? That had to be the doctor, innit? That had to have been the doctor, innit? Eddie Hearn must have got a fucking Ouija board, yeah? And said, yeah, Dr. Harold, listen, yeah? I've got one fighter, he's tested positive twice for clomiphene, yeah? And I've got a, is it safe for my fighter to go jump in the ring and get punched in the head with him? Is that all right? That must be it. But here's my main point, right? We have authorities in boxing for a reason. The authorities, and to some degree the promoters, mainly the authorities, but also the promoters, are there to protect the fighters. You're there to protect the fighters. If I'm promoting a show, I want my fighters to be safe. So if I want my fighters to be safe, sometimes one of your fighters is making the decision for the fighters. That's why we have the British Boxing Board of Control. That's why they exist, to take the decision out of the fighters' hands, because fighters will fight. If there are certain fighters out there, if you put them in the ring with a fucking gorilla and say, look, mate, I'm going to pay you 20,000. You feel free to have a crack. They're going to have a crack because they're stupid. And because fighters are fighters. Fighters are certain type of people. There's some fighters, they will fight anybody. How many times do we see fighters in boxing who have got detached retinas or dodgy eye sockets, or fighters that have had, Danny Williams is a fantastic example. Danny Williams should have stopped boxing best part of 20 years ago. Keeps boxing, doesn't he? Against his own health. Against his own health. The authorities are there, like the British Boxing Board of Control, to say, no, you can't fight under a British Boxing Board of Control license. We're going to take that decision for you. We're not going to leave it down to the fighter, because the fighters don't often make the correct decision. So we're there to protect the fighters. And the promoters should be a part of that. Press 7 if you agree with me in the chat. Press 8 if you disagree. You're supposed to protect the fighter. Certain decisions should never come down to a fighter. You should never, as a promoter, be allowing a fighter to decide if he wants to get in the ring with a fucking doped up fighter or not. Otherwise, what are you promoting for? Does that make sense? That's fucking stupid. You should be taking a decision. No, you're not getting in the ring. I don't give a shit if you want to get in the ring or not. You shouldn't be getting in the ring, because if anything happens to you on my show, my career is over. If you die in the ring and it turns out that you died in the ring against somebody who tested positive for clomiphene twice in the space of fucking 3 months, and you get a brain hemorrhage, or you end up like Ladura Lamati on a fucking stretcher with oxygen on you, I'm finished in boxing. And I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want to go to sleep at night knowing that I let you get in the ring with somebody who tested positive twice for clomiphene in the run up to the fight, and you get in the ring and that's you on the stretcher. Or that's you on the GoFundMe. Should never be down to the fighter. So all this stuff about, well, Eubank said it was okay. Well, that makes it all right then. We might as well not have a British Boxing Board of Control then, innit? We might as well not have any authorities, innit? As for he passed his UCAD test, if anybody happens to know the date of the UCAD test he passed, yeah, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to know that. I'd love to know the dates of the UCAD test he passed. I'd love to know those. Because I'd like to know which test is wrong. If I had to guess which test, yeah, if I had to put my house on a test, if you told me, Ultra, put your house on the results of a UCAD test or put your house on the results of a VADA test, I'd put my house on the results of a VADA test. And so would Eddie Hearn, because Eddie Hearn believes that VADA is the gold standard of dope testing.
I don't need to save money. I want to put on good fights. So that was a good fight for DAZN. So I'm disappointed. But what is the point in signing up for drug testing if when you fail, everyone just goes, oh, don't worry about it, just let him fight, you know? Yeah. So, the argument of, well, it's all right with UCAD, it's totally irrelevant. You've signed drug testing with VADA, the best testing agency, in my opinion, in the sport.
There you go. You've heard it yourself. The best testing agency in the sport. Do you remember, by the way? Does anybody find it funny? And this is not against Pimp My Sniper. I'm not having a go at you about this. I'm just saying in general. Does anybody remember, right, that when Dillian White allegedly failed a drugs test, right? Do you remember that the mitigating circumstances that his arse riders, Dillian's my best friend. Yeah, Dillian, I text Dillian all the time, man. Dillian's my best friend. Do you remember the mitigating circumstances were, but he passed his VADA test. Do you remember that one? But Dillian passed his VADA test. Dillian passed his VADA test, and VADA test is the most stringent test. VADA test is the gold standard, and Dillian passed his VADA test. So how could Dillian fail his UCAD test but pass his VADA test? How could that happen? How could Dillian pass his UCAD? How could Dillian fail his UCAD but he passed his VADA? Now it's the other way around. Isn't it? It's like these idiots can't make up their mind which one's the best test. If a fighter fails his UCAD test, like Dillian White allegedly did, then they're going to say, no, those UCAD tests don't count because he passed his VADA tests. And VADA's much more stringent than UCAD. But then when Conor Benn allegedly fails a VADA test and allegedly passes some UCAD tests, they then go back and switch on it and reverse it and go, well, the VADA tests are probably wrong and there's some kind of conspiracy and the VADA test must be fucking corrupted because he passed his UCAD test. Make up your mind. Which of these tests is which of these tests is right and which of these tests is wrong? And somebody explained to me how VADA got it wrong with at least 4 samples. What are the odds? We got the odds right in the chat here from George C. The odds of VADA messing up Conor Benn samples, at least 4 of Conor Benn samples. Here we go. George C. If there is a 1% chance of a false positive, the chance of getting 4 in a row is 1 in a million. Conor Benn should start doing the lottery. What do you guys think about that? Hey, Conor Benn should do. There you go. There are the odds. If there is a 1% chance of a false positive, the chance of getting 4 in a row is 1 in a million. What are the chances of getting struck by lightning? Are they less than 1 in a million? I think they might be. That's how stupid this is. And that's how stupid boxing fans are. That's why these promoters put these fights on, because they know you'll buy the bullshit. And they know as well, like I said before, Every time someone comes along and asks the right questions, like Simon Jordan, right? Then people turn on him, don't they? What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that actually looking back, Simon Jordan was right with the questions that he asked and right about a lot of stuff? Who do you think's been more accurate about the state of drug testing in sport? Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. and the role of the British Boxing Board of Control and Eddie Hearn. Who do you think's been more accurate? Simon Jordan, IFL TV, or Boxing Social, or some of them other YouTube channels? You know, the same YouTube channels that were making videos about Jarrell Miller should be banned from the sport for life, right? But they're gonna promote this fight. What do you think about that one, eh? The same YouTube channels who told you that Jarrell Miller should be banned for life are the same new channels that are going to promote a man who failed 2 tests for clomiphene in the space of 4 months. They're going to promote him getting into the ring with an opponent who just got knocked spark out in his last fight. They will go on YouTube and they will promote that. The same guys who are making videos about Jarrell Miller should be banned from the sport for life, they'll go on there and make these videos. And then these same individuals will throw shade at the likes of Simon Jordan. And I still have people coming at me today on Twitter and saying, well, Ultra, Simon Jordan's an idiot. You know, why do you give time to Simon Jordan? Simon Jordan's an idiot. Why do you give time to Simon Jordan? Yeah, but you know why Simon Jordan has a place in boxing? Simon Jordan has a place in boxing because these guys don't do their job properly. As I keep saying before, the IFL TVs, the Boxing Social, these other YouTube channels, right? They don't do their job properly. Simple as that. Get ready for that. You're going to see them promote this fight. Shamelessly, they don't give a fuck. They're going to come on and tell you. They're going to come on and promote this fight and act like nothing's gone on. Press 1 if you agree with me on that and press 2 if you disagree. That YouTube channels that ripped into Jarrell Miller for failing multiple drugs tests and saying he should never, ever box again. Those same YouTube channels that said that are going to actively promote Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. And they won't say a fucking word about fighter safety. Am I right about that or am I wrong about that? Am I right about that or am I wrong? But you're asking if I'm consistent. You're asking me if I'm consistent. Let me say this one more time. I have a job. I have a job. Let me just break this down, right? And I hate to say it, but I'm going to be 100% honest. What's your job? What do you do for a living? I make boxing videos on YouTube. That is not a job. That is not a job. Making boxing videos on YouTube to make money is not a job, right? We are 25, we are 20 years old, 25 years old, 30 years old, and in some cases 40 years old. It's time to grow up, put your big boy pants on, yeah? Go out into the world of work and do a 9 to 5 and earn a crust just like everybody else. Do you agree with me on that? Do you agree with me on that? That certain individuals need to grow up. There's no such job as I'm a content creator. That job title, that doesn't exist. What do you do for a living? I'm a content creator. I'm a content creator. Go outside, put your big boy pants on, yeah, and get a proper job. Yeah, Elle Brooke's different. If you're one of them OnlyFans models like Ebony Bridges, sitting on, you know, fucking 300 grand a year to sell Gareth A. Davis used knickers, then yeah, all right, we can have a conversation. But you know what I'm talking about. What do you do for a living? Well, I'm a boxing content creator. No, please, right? Put your big boy pants on, go and get a job. Because all these people are trying to do is avoid the grind. Am I right or am I wrong? Let's just tell it how it is. That you're trying to avoid the grind, that you don't want to get up at 7 in the morning and go and get a real job. You don't want to get up at 7 in the morning and go and get a real job. So what do you want to do? You want to faff around, innit? Don't want to get up in the morning and get a real job like everybody else. So you want to faff around, innit? Faff around, wandering around fucking gyms with a fucking you want to wander around gyms with a fucking camcorder. That's not a job. That's not a job. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm being too harsh? Tell me in the chat if you think I'm being too harsh. Listen, maybe I'm being too harsh. Is that a proper job? Wandering around a fucking gym with a camcorder, bothering people. You ain't even turned up to train. You ain't even turned up to train or just turning up with a camera, just fucking bothering people. What are you? Oh, I'm a content creator. I make videos on YouTube. To be honest, Coogan ain't even that bad. I mean, I'm not going to mention some of the other channels out there. You know the ones I'm talking about. You know the ones I'm talking about. Yeah? You know the ones I'm talking about. But what do you guys think? Tell the truth, innit? Difference between them and Simon Jordan, yeah, is that Simon Jordan's made money. He lost a lot of money, but that's very common. Millionaires lose money all the time. If you go and look at Dragon's Den, and you look at this man here, one of the most famous dragons, Peter Jones. Peter Jones made 200 or 100 million or something, and he lost it all, and then he made it back again. Peter Jones, at one point, went bankrupt and lost millions. And Peter Jones went and made back that money. That's more common than you think. Where multimillionaires make a shit ton of money, lose it, and then make it back again. It's more common than you think. And again, I agree with you conveying it, D's. At least he made it to lose. No, so because Simon Jordan has assets, right? And he's not a scrounger, right? Isn't it? Because Simon Jordan isn't a scrounger, because Simon Jordan isn't afraid, right, to get up in the morning, get on a tube and go to work and do a proper job, right? He doesn't have to crawl up people's backside to try and get access, innit? Am I lying? Am I not lying, innit? That's what's going on, innit? And it's all because people don't want to get a job. They don't want to, they want to be a content, you know, fucking 40, 45, 40 years old, 50 years old. What do you do for a living? I fucking make videos on YouTube. Fucking hell, man. What do you guys think about that? I'd rather work at Tesco. Hand on heart. That's more noble to me than that. I'd rather work at Tesco, stacking shelves. At least you're putting in a hard day's graft, innit? Instead of fucking around in Microsoft. I'm not going to start, but some individuals. Who's that individual who's still using Microsoft fucking, what's that old 1990s Microsoft app? There's some idiots on YouTube that's still using that fucking Microsoft Windows Movie Maker. Windows Movie Maker, yeah? I'm not even joking, yeah? Windows Movie Maker done got fucking turned out, yeah? Down after like Windows 7. Innit? Remember that Windows Movie Maker? Man, Microsoft stopped fucking with Windows Movie Maker like after like Windows 7. That shit stopped being made. You can't get a Windows Movie Maker no more. People out here still making, I ain't gonna name names, but they know who they are, innit? Got dudes out there making their videos with Windows Movie Maker and shit. What do you do for a living? I make boxing videos. Go and get a job, man. Go and get a job. So that's why Simon Jordan has a place in boxing. He has a place in boxing, yeah, because the boxing media ain't doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. As for Eddie Hearn, it is what it is. I can't blame him because he promotes the idiots. You know, it's getting to the point where I'm almost reluctant to lay into Eddie Hearn because there's an old saying, isn't there? Have you ever heard the saying, treat a hoe like a hoe? What film does that shit come from? Or what rap lyric does that come from? Have you ever heard the film or the rap lyric? What is it? Treat a hoe like a hoe. I listen to drill music non-stop, so I hear that stuff all the time. I'm not a gangster. I'm a pussy, but I'm just saying I listen to drill music non-stop, so I hear that kind of shit all the time. Have you ever heard that phrase in a rap song? Treat a hoe like a hoe. Man, what's Eddie Hearn doing? Eddie Hearn's just treating a hoe like a hoe. Gets to the point where we can't blame him, right? Because no matter how many times he contradicts himself, no matter how many times he lies on camera, no matter how many fighters' health he puts at risk. Remember, this ain't the first time where somebody's got in a ring with somebody who's failed a drugs test under his promotion, right? This ain't the first time this has happened, is it? No matter what happens, you're still going to get those utter morons in it on Twitter going, do you know what? I think he's the best promoter. I think he's the best promoter. I think, you know, just look at him. I think he's the best promoter by far. Yeah, he's the best promoter by far, unless you're a fighter who's getting into the ring with somebody who's failed drugs tests. I agree with that as well. We'll get onto this idiot in a minute. We'll get onto him in a minute. I agree with that. He's the best promoter in the game, yeah, unless you're a fighter who's about to get in the ring with somebody who's failed drugs tests and nobody's told you. and nobody's told you. Jesus Christ. Imagine that. Imagine that. Calisauerland as well. This man, yeah, should be out of boxing as well. Like, I'm sorry about it, like, but to watch this guy is an absolute human car wreck. I'm just sorry about it. Like, every time I see this guy hovering around KSI, literally makes me sick to my stomach. Do you know what I mean? And you saw what happened, talking about fighter safety, you saw what happened in that recent KSI event where a fighter was knocked out with an elbow and all the rest of them Muppets were walking around celebrating and pretending that nothing had gone on. Do you know what I mean? While a fighter was laying on the floor, semi-conscious from being fucking elbowed in the temple. Calisauerland's a joke, man. I have to be honest with you. Look, you know, I don't think the guy's fit to be in the sport of boxing. That's just my opinion on it, you know. People can disagree, but that's my opinion. Calisauerland should not be in the sport of boxing. He's not fit to be in the sport of boxing. With all due respect, yeah, he's got a lot of experience promoting in the sport, but does Calisauerland know what day of the week it is? Look, we all know what's going on. Does Calisauerland know what day of the week it is? You know, he's a meme, innit? Calisauerland's a fucking meme. That's it, right? But when it comes to fighter safety, we ain't got times for memes in the sport of boxing. You need serious operators. And to me, Calisauerland stopped being a serious operator about 15 years ago. Let me know what you feel about that. About Calisauerland. I'm just being honest with you. Just being honest with you. I don't think it should be allowed in the sport. And I see fighters hovering around Calisauerland like Lyndon Arthur. Breaks my fucking heart to see Lyndon Arthur. It breaks my heart to see Lyndon Arthur, yeah, hovering around Calisauerland. Listen, about 10 or 15 years ago, Calisauerland used to be one of the biggest promoters in Europe. This is what they're promoting these days. How do you go from one of the biggest promoters in Europe to promoting this? How do you go from being one of the biggest promoters in Europe, yeah, to being involved with this shit? Am I lying? Am I not lying? Hey, am I lying? Am I not lying? How you go from one of the biggest promoters? How do you go from being one of the biggest promoters, yeah, in Europe, yeah, to this? Because this is what Calisauerland working with these days, isn't it? This is what Calisauerland is working with, isn't it? The guy went from working with a prime Felix Sturm who beat Oscar De La Hoya, really, yeah. The man went from working with a prime Felix Sturm who really beat Oscar De La Hoya before a fight with Bernard Hopkins to working with a bald-headed Deji. If that ain't a fall from grace, I don't know what is. Can somebody tell me? If that ain't a fall from grace, I don't know what is. The man was putting on big fights with Vladimir Klitschko, walking out to 80,000 in a stadium in Germany with fireworks going off everywhere. Now, next minute, now what is he? Fucking bag carrier for Deji. Am I not lying? The man's turned into a bag carrier for Deji. Bag carrier for Deji and KSI, standing behind the two of them, fucking grinning like a Cheshire cat, innit? While they hold up a bunch of fake. I'm trying to get that picture of Deji and his belt. Look at that picture. I knew I should have saved that picture because now I can't find it. I got that picture of Deji and that Misfits belt that he'd be carrying. Let me see if I can get that. This is what Calisauerland be involved in these days. Where's that fucking Misfits belt that these guys carry around? These plastic belts. I can only find KSI. KSI is actually a decent fighter. He would batter me. But look. Look at Calisauerland. You can see him in the background. Am I lying? Am I not lying? Look at these belts. Look at this belt. This MF belt, though. What is this stuff, man? Calisauerland. What is that belt? That belt looks like it came out of a fucking Christmas cracker. Am I lying? Am I not lying? Do you know what I mean? Yo, Calisauerland went from promoting a prime Felix Sturm, yeah? A prime Arthur Abraham. A prime Vladimir Klitschko. The man standing in a ring now, involved in fights for belts. The belt came out of a fucking Christmas cracker. Yeah, Kinder Surprise. This belt looks like it came out of a Kinder Surprise. As I said before, Fisher Price, my first boxing belt. What is this, man? Fraudulent, man. Fraudulent. Fraudulent. Look at that MF belt. Do you believe that's metal? Do you believe that's honestly metal? I'm here to tell you today. That belt weighs less than a fucking Waitrose plastic bag, mate. That belt weighs less than a Waitrose plastic bag. Foam. Foam and plastic. Foam and plastic. Ain't no metal in there. Foam and plastic. Foam and plastic. When KSI hands them belts over to the referee must have to put them in a dark place. Make sure the arena lights don't melt them belts. You see the referee just sliding them plastic belts under the ring before they fight. So the arena lights don't melt the plastic on them. Don't start melting the MF on that belt, on these garbage belts that Kalasalan being voted in. Sitting behind clowns. What's that organization? What they call themselves? The PB what? The PB what? What's it called? The professional boxing what? Or what is it called? The BBOC don't even want to get involved in this. That's how bad this shit is. This shit, that's it. The PBA. This shit that Kalasalan be involved in is so guff. The British Boxing Board of Control won't even touch it with a fucking shitty stick. Do you know what I mean? Robert Smith wouldn't touch this. With a stick. With his stick he found in fucking Epping Forest with a fucking condom at the end of it. He still wouldn't touch this crap. The PBA. That's why this idiot's involved in it. Imagine putting your safety on the line and this man's in the middle. Fucking hell. Best of luck to you. Imagine going to the boxing ring, yeah? And putting yourself on the line, putting your life on the line, yeah? With this lad watching over you. I'll tell you, I'll be saying a prayer, mate. I'll be saying a fucking prayer for you, mate. What's that song? I'll say a little prayer for you. Who sung that song? Whenever I wake up, da, 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 I say a little prayer for you. I'll be saying a prayer for you, bro. The PBA. Yo. Listen. At least Eddie Hearn's still at the top of the game. Kalasalan's got 1 foot out the door, mate. He's an absolute clown show. So anyway, yeah, look, it is what it is. Those are my opinions on it. Look, I didn't do much planning for this show, yeah, but what can I tell you, man? I just think, yeah, that there is Aretha Franklin, of course. How could I not know that? It's Aretha. I don't even like Aretha Franklin, but I should have known that one, shouldn't I? Look, it is what it is. Let me just say this in closing, right? Right? Let me just say this in closing, yeah? There's a reason why in this video, yeah? Eddie Hearn's fucking sweating like fucking Philip Schofield under questioning. There's a fucking reason for that, right? I hope nothing happens to Chris Eubank Jr. in this ring, you know, because I just see this fight as he's not even coming off a win. What do you guys think about that? Not even coming off a win. He's coming off a knockout loss. He's coming off a knockout loss, which was probably caused by the fact that he absolutely killed himself and wiped himself out to pieces, yeah? Trying to boil himself down to the edge of death to make weight for a fight that thankfully got called off. Eubank has even had a tune-up. I don't care what weight this fight's at. It'll be at 160. I don't care what weight this fight's at. I just hope that nothing happens to Chris Eubank. And I'll tell you one thing as well, you know, Chris Eubank Sr. at the minute, he isn't making much sense. And you know, there's a lot of theories as to why Chris Eubank Sr. isn't making much sense at the minute. Some people say he's never made sense, but some people are saying that, you know, he's definitely going through something. But I will just hope that some of these promoters, right, and some of these fans take a fucking step back. Honestly, right? Seriously, right? Take a step back, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. If something does happen to Eubank in this ring, right, like what happened to Lud Marty, right? Something does happen to Chris Eubank Jr. in this ring, then forget about UCAD and forget about the British Boxing Board of Control, but reputations will be damaged forever. Like literally now, forever. Like way more than a failed drug test could ever damage your reputation. Reputations will be damaged forever. So I would say, although no one will listen to all involved, that they should think very, very carefully, yeah, about the likely outcomes of putting this fight on. Because for me, like I said before, the build-up is going to be tarred with nothing but every press conference, people are going to be asking nothing but drug testing questions. That's all people are going to ask. You know, how do you go mainstream with this fight? What do you guys think about that? Mainstream. How do you go mainstream with the fight? Do you think that Conor Benn and Chris Eubank are going to sit on a couch on ITV and BBC for this fight, and they're just going to forget to ask about failed drugs tests? Can you see that? I'm not saying a fight won't do well. I'm sure it'll do great. I'm sure plenty of morons will lap it up, right? But I'm talking about the legitimacy of the fight, yeah, and the PR for the fight. Do you think that even mainstream media are going to manage to go through 6 to 8 weeks of promoting this fight and just forget to mention that one of the main protagonists has failed multiple drugs tests in the run-up to this fight? I don't see how that's going to happen. What do you guys think? I think in the run-up to this fight, a lot of the questions that are going to be asked are about failed drugs tests. What do you guys think? Do you not think? I think a lot of the media are going to be asking about failed drugs tests. Which isn't nice, is it? You know, you want to talk about the fight, you want to talk about the matchup, but I think a lot of the attention is going to be on drug testing and drug testing for the fight. And I'll quickly say this, and I'm not saying that Conor Benn's intentionally taking anything. When was the last time Conor Benn took a dope test? Can anybody tell me? Just out of interest. Does anybody know the last time that Conor Benn passed the dope test? Just out of interest, because this is how stupid this is, right? You've got an individual who's failed multiple tests, who's undergoing an investigation that hasn't finished. He's in training for a fight. And make no mistake, he's in training, Conor Benn, right? He's training with a fight, yeah, in the next couple of months on his mind, yeah? July, August, September. He's training and he is in the gym and he's releasing footage of himself training with a view to getting a fight in the near future, right? Has he been tested? What's the process? What do we know? What do we know he's up to when he's training? Press one if you agree with me in that. And I'm not trying to accuse him of anything, but I'm just asking a logical question. If somebody has failed 2 drugs tests in a couple of months, right? And they're under investigation by UCAD, and they're going away now, and they're in the gym, and they're training with a view to coming back and fighting in a couple of months. If I was set to get in the ring with that guy, would you not ask yourselves the question, well, who's testing him? As he's training right now. Who's testing him? He's failed 2 tests, man. He's failed 2 fucking tests. Who's testing him right now? He's putting up Instagram videos of himself, sparring and fucking hitting bags and training. So who's testing him? How do we know? How do we know that he's on the straight and narrow? Or are we just taking his word for it? Because what? Because he's crying in Eddie Hearn's office. Oh, well, I believe him. I've known him all my life. And his dad was a good lad. Oh, his dad was a good lad. I knew his dad. Oh, I just know him, innit? What do you mean? Who's fucking testing him? That's what I'm saying about the safety of it. Who's testing him? Like, do you not understand? These fighters are training right now. Like, Benn is training right now with a view to fighting. These fighters don't just wait until the fight's announced and then start training. The promoter tells them in advance, look, I'm looking to get you out on this date. And then they get ready. Am I right? Am I wrong in it? So he's got a good idea of when he's going to be boxing again. And he's already been in training, preparing for that. So my question on behalf of the unlucky person who has to get in the ring with Conor Benn is, right, who is testing him right now as we speak while he's in the gym training? Who's testing him? Where is your guarantee to me as the opponent who's going to step in the ring with somebody who's already failed 2 tests in the space of 2 or 3 months? Where is your guarantee to me that he won't be on dope for my fight? Whether he's intentionally on dope or whether, you know, he's eating too many eggs or something's happened. Does that make sense? I'm not accusing Conor Benn of anything, but I'm saying I'm talking as an opponent. If I was an opponent and my promoter came to me and said, Ultra, would you like to get in the ring with Conor Benn in September? My first question would be, how the fuck do we know that he hasn't got clomiphene in his system? Where is the proof that he is training right now as we speak without clomiphene in his system. I'm not talking about training with clomiphene in his system and then us agreeing to a fight 3 months down the line and then he passes the test because the test was 3 months after XYZ. Does that make sense? Where's the proof that as he's training right now, preparing for this fight, he does not have any illegal substances in his system? Because I'm interested in what's in his system while he's training for the fight right now. Because I know 2 or 3 months down the line when the fight happens, I know he can pass a test. Press 7 if you think I'm making sense, or press 8 if you think I'm not making sense. That's just me. If it was me getting in the ring, I want to know that he's clean as he's training and preparing for the fight. I don't give a shit about on fight night because the fucking 6 to 8, 9, 10, 12, they've already passed. It's too late. It's too late by then. It's too late. I don't want to wait until fight night or the week before a fight. I want to know while he's training, preparing, while he's building muscle mass, why he's building his muscle mass, what, you know what I mean? I want to know. What's he on? Is he clean? Can you guarantee to me that he's clean? And Conveying Ideas has the right answer. He doesn't have a license. He's suspended, so can't see him being tested. So just think about that. You've got a fighter who's currently under suspension, preparing for a fight that may take place in September, where the likelihood is that he isn't being tested by UCAD and he's not being tested by VADA while training for the fight. That's the likelihood, that he's not being tested by UCAD and he's not being tested by VADA while he's preparing for a fight after having failed 2 tests. Meanwhile, this individual here is on the phone trying to get him in the ring for September. That's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem, isn't it? How do you know? If you're the opponent, where's the safety? How do you know? But you know what? You know what boxers are like? Boxers will take the risk, won't they? Boxer will take the risk. Boxer knows what's going on. Boxer's not stupid. Boxer knows what's going on. Boxer already knows all of the answers to the questions that I just posed to you. They already know. But they'll take the risk anyway. Why? Make money. Make money. Make money, innit? They'll take the risk, innit? They'll take the risk. They'll take the risk. Hopefully somebody can ask Eddie that. When was the last time that Conor Benn was tested? And how do we know? How do we know what's going on? How do we know what the results of these tests are? And what was he tested for? And how regularly is he being tested? And who's testing him? Is it VADA who's testing him in the run up to this fight? Because he's training. He's training right now. So who's testing him while he trains? VADA? UCAD? Who's testing him? Where are the results of this test? That's my opinion. I won't be very popular for giving my opinion. People will try and make it about me, right? Won't they? They'll make it about me. They won't make it about people like this. They won't make it about people like this who are currently trying to make fights with people who are under investigation for doping. They won't make it about people like Eddie Hearn. They'll make it about people like me. They'll make it about people like Frank Warren. What would it be? Ultras on a Frank Warren payroll. What will it be? Ultras on a Frank Warren payroll. Oh, well, are you going to watch the fight? What will it be? Predict what will it be? It'll be videos attacking me. It'll be the usual. Videos attacking me. Videos calling me out. Why don't you come on my channel for a debate? Oh, listen, tell you that. I'll batter you. Why don't you come and meet me for a spar? It'll be about me. It won't be about the people who are putting these individuals in the ring. And then what will happen? What will happen? The same thing that always happens. Eventually, this will happen. That you can see on your screen. This will happen. It is what it is. Take care of yourselves and each other.